Daniel Penny has been acquitted of criminally negligent homicide in the death of Jordan Neely in that subway chokehold case that captivated New York, divided the city, and has certainly been highly charged and debated ever since. Chris Glorioso is down there at the courthouse live with us right now after we learned that the jury came back and said Daniel Penny not guilty of criminally negligent homicide after we had already learned that he was acquitted, that manslaughter charge was dismissed. So, Chris, take us through what happened today in court.
Now, before we get into this, for those of you that don't know, Daniel Penny is a former U.S. Marine. He's a former U.S. Marine, and the reason why it's important, or who he is because he's a white man. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, well, him being a white man, why is that important? Well, it's because on this day, the charges that he's been acquitted for are due to an altercation that happened on a subway. On this subway, there's a man named Jordan Neely. Jordan Neely, for all intents and purposes, was a schizophrenic, homeless drug addict who was having an episode on the subway and he threatened people. He had a history of assaulting people. And during this particular incident, Daniel Penny restrained the man. He restrained the man, took him down to the ground. Now, this incident resulted, unfortunately, in the passing of Jordan Neely. But the question is, did Daniel Penny cause his unaliving? Number one. And number two, is this just another situation of a quote-unquote white man getting away with murdering or unaliving black people in the streets? Obviously, if you know anything about me, you know that is not my position. It's not my position. That the man, obviously, if you're a danger to people and you're having an episode and you're threatening old women and you're doing things that make people visibly uncomfortable. I saw one person say, oh, well, this is just a case of a black person making white people feel uncomfortable. No, it's not. It's about a person making people feel uncomfortable. Who was the black woman that he was making? You know what I'm saying? It was a black woman that he was making feel uncomfortable. But that's neither here nor there. The man has a history of drug use. And if you look at the toxicology reports, you'll actually see that under oath, it was testified that they don't even believe that that his death was caused by the chokehold.
Well, and what you just mentioned, Adam, is one reason why some court watchers might be a little confused by this verdict. This is a not guilty verdict coming in just about a day after the jury sent two notes to the judge saying they were deadlocked on the top charge, which was manslaughter in the second degree. And then today, the jury goes in to deliberate after a couple of hours, and they come back and they say unanimously that there is a not guilty verdict on the lesser charge, which is criminally negligent homicide. Some people might have looked at that first one and said, well, wait a minute, it is likely there's someone on this jury who wants to vote to convict and others who do not want to convict. But again, we now know, according to the jury today, that this is a not guilty verdict on the criminally negligent homicide. Reaction almost instantaneous, with Penny's supporters rejoicing and those who believe he should have been convicted expressing outrage outside the courthouse. This case always turned on the videos that bystanders took showing Daniel Penny restraining Jordan Neely by the neck for nearly 6 minutes. But just as people in society at large viewed the video in vastly different ways, clearly people inside the courtroom also viewed these videos differently, with the defense calling their client Daniel Penny a hero for jumping in to protect strap hangers from someone they felt was threatening. And of course, family of Jordan Neely at the podium just a short time ago expressing their disappointment.
I miss my son. My son didn't have to go through this. I didn't have to go through this either.
Now, see, this is my problem whenever we see these people get up on these stands and they get up on these podiums and they make these racial statements, because let's just be real. Let's just be real. Sorry, I hate to bring the the barn down, crashing down. But at the end of the day, there would not be any outcry for this if it was a black on black act of violence, number one. Number two, this man was homeless and a drug addict. Why weren't you, like, if you care so much, and this might sound insensitive, but if you care that much to get on this podium, and if you hear in the background, you're going to hear they back there chanting, "No justice, no peace." You know who that means, right? We got BLM in the house. So we already know Black Lives Matter, they bankrupt and they need a new come up. So yes, you're going to give them what they need. But here we are. Let's just be honest. It's unfortunate what happened to this man. But here we go again, making the worst of the community a martyr and a representation and an excuse to incite violence and domestic terrorism. That's the truth. What are we talking about here? Because at the end of the day, if you hear the reports, if you look at the reports, this man says somebody is going to be unalive today. You cared that much. Why weren't you trying to get him help? You cared that much. Why weren't you getting him off the streets where he could terrorize people and in somewhere where he could actually get some help? This is a thought.
It hurts. Really, really hurts. What are we gonna do, people? What's gonna happen to us now? I had enough of this. The system is rigged.
Again.
The system is rigged. The system didn't do that to that man. Jordan Neely is not here because of bad decisions. Life circumstances, bad decisions. System isn't rigged. Sorry, I hate to be the one to bring that down on you, but it's the truth. It's the truth. And here we go. We got the same black culture that's going to use this as an excuse to try to tear stuff up. But the very fact of this verdict is symbolizing that America is rejecting this woke culture. It's rejecting the narrative. So I hate to say it, you can get mad all you want, but the time has passed. You had a good run. But America is rejecting. It is rejecting the woke social experiment. It failed. And now it's time to correct. Now it's time to adjust.